You know, whenever I see a new video game adaptation, I'm always wondering how long it'll be before I rage quit.
The f*** you say to me, you little shit?
But holy shit, I think I can officially say it, Arcane is the best video game adaptation ever created. Granted, that isn't a huge bar to overcome, but this show is damn good, with slick animation, a kick-ass score, and characters we actually care about. So in this video, we'll be covering Arcane's ending, character lore, and theories for Season 2. Oh god, please let there be a Season 2. I mean, the CEO of Riot did tweet out they're committed to multiple seasons, and this is a tweet from 2019. I also have tons of theories on what might happen after that disastrous rocket attack, plus I'm hoping you caught that not so hidden clue that we could see the return of Vander and new characters like Orianna. Stick around to the end of the video for that. But before we get into it, consider playing support this round by clicking the like and subscribe button. My ELO is abysmally low and I'm just trying to get out of Bronze 5. The final episode is the last chapter in Arcane's 3-act structure. It's titled The Monster You Created, but who is this monster? Well, the title is a reference to many. There's Jayce, who was created by Vi's abandonment and Silco's manipulation, Silco himself, a byproduct of a people left unwanted and uncared for by its ruling elite, singed, burned, and disfigured by the illicit drug Shimmer in episode 3, Viktor, who mixes Shimmer and Hextech to prolong his life, and me, horribly scarred that'll have to wait at least a year for Season 2. Jayce laments the death of a child he killed during a raid on one of Silco's Shimmer facilities, but Vi is quick to remind him that's nothing compared to the hundreds killed by Silco's actions. Since Silco took control of the Undercity after the death of Vander in episode 3, crime, drugs, and violence has exploded, turning many of its citizens into Shimmer junkies. Jayce, perhaps naively, believes he can broker a peace deal with Silco, but each side demands something neither is likely to give up. For example, Jayce wants Jinx handed over to him. Jinx was responsible for several attacks over the course of episodes 4 to 9, including an attack which left several enforcers, including Sheriff Marcus, dead. As we learn later on in the episode, Silco never had any intention of turning Jinx over. For him, it would be like turning over his own daughter.
I never would have given you to them. Not for anything.
The same can be said for Silco's demands. He wanted free trade routes, blanket amnesty, access to the Hex Gates, and most importantly, sovereignty. This would establish the nation of Zaun, something he fought for his entire life. He could have had that nation, but his love for Jinx was stronger. But before we get more into that, Silco has to deal with a coup within his criminal organization. Finn believes Silco is weak. The Undercity has grown chaotic under his rule, and it's time for a change. He even has another member on his side, Rennie, who was the mother of the boy Jayce killed. Silco gives a speech about loyalty, how that was the only thing that got him and the others through the dark days of the past. And as it looks like Silco's days are numbered, Sevika ends up killing Finn, perhaps out of loyalty. Sevika will later fight Vi, where she gets her arm ripped off and thrown into the jukebox, the same jukebox player that starts every episode. But what I really want to discuss is the last shot we see of her. She's in Silco's office lighting her cigar with Finn's lighter. Silco's chair is empty in the background, suggesting she will be the one to take over. With Silco dead at the end of the episode, the Underground doesn't have a leader, and she just might be the one to step up. Viktor is reeling from the death of Skye. The two had a high school-like romance over the course of the season, and she ended up disintegrating when trying to help Viktor release himself from the now corrupted Hexcore. Viktor's experiments led him down a dangerous path where he ended up taking Shimmer and combining it with Hextech to prolong his life. It's kind of ironic since his mentor, Singe, did similar nefarious experiments in order to prolong the life of his pet Rio. In both instances, someone they loved was killed. Viktor is so overcome with grief and the decisions that he's made over the season that he even contemplates suicide before Jayce interrupts him. Skye's letter to him talked about how he's made the world a better place, but for him he thinks he's just made it worse. He even tries to break the corrupted Hextech but is unable to, but we're not exactly sure if this is because he's linked to it or just doesn't have the courage. The last two episodes also see the introduction of Ambessa Medarda, who appears to be a prominent member of the Noxus Empire, one of League of Legends' many factions. Ambessa sent her daughter Mel to Piltover because she thought she lacked spine. Ambessa also says of Mel,
"You weakened me. I couldn't endure the look in your eyes whenever I made the necessary decisions to keep us safe.
In Ambessa's mind, a ruler must be, quote, a fox and a wolf, both cunning and strong. And Mel certainly is cunning, but as we see in episode 8's intro, she lacks the cutthroat nature her mother is looking for. Mel paints a large mural of the immortal Bastion fortress surrounded by Noxus ships, furthering her connection with the Empire. But in one of the season's final scenes, we see she's ruined it, symbolic of her turning her back on her mother and the Empire. We also get word that Mel's brother has died, but it's never mentioned who he could be. This is likely Jayce Medarda, a playable card from the Legends of Runeterra and heir apparent to the Medarda fortune. Jayce tells Viktor that they must destroy the Hexcore. Its power, if in the wrong hands, could cause absolute devastation. The potential for this technology to be used against them is something Heimerdinger warned them of several times. Heimerdinger is several hundred years old and can recall times in which magic nearly destroyed the world. No one heeds Heimerdinger's warnings, and he's eventually kicked off the council, teaming up with a now grown-up Echo and his team of rebels known as the Firelights. This Heimerdinger-Echo combo may be the biggest clue as to what happens in the wake of Jynx's rocket attack, but I'll get to that in a bit. Silco drinks his sorrows beneath a statue of Vander, a man who was like a brother to him. They both wanted the same thing, to see a world where the people of Zaun could live free just like the people topside. But they differed in how to achieve this. Silco believed violence was the answer, and Vander did not.
It's not going to solve your problems. Just makes more of them.
It culminated in the two duking it out, with Silco almost drowning to death. Now Silco drinks alone, living with the fact his dream of an independent Zaun is right in front of him, but knowing he can't do what it takes to achieve it. That is, give up Jynx. After Vander gave up life to protect Vi and Powder, Jynx's name as a child, Silco took in Jynx and raised her as his own. Since then, Jynx has done Silco's bidding, believing her sister Vi abandoned her. But later in the series, Jynx overhears what really happened those many years ago and struggles with who is telling the truth. Does she believe her sister or the man who raised her? But it seems Jynx is too far gone. She's haunted by the voices of her past, pushing her in different directions, and Silco, fearing Vi is swaying Jynx into madness, grabs a nearby pistol and aims. Now this is up to interpretation, but I believe he was pointing the gun at Vi to get her to stop talking, and Jynx, overcome by the instinct to protect her sister, shoots Silco in the process. It's a terribly tragic ending. I should also mention before we continue that Caitlyn is also here. She gets knocked out by Jynx, but it's been subtly hinted that Vi and Caitlyn might eventually end up together. I thought I'd bring it up because I know someone in the comments definitely will. In the lore, the two eventually do become partners in law enforcement, so it's definitely possible. In the season's final moments, we get a montage of various characters which lead up to Jynx's rocket attack, and there's a ton of cool stuff to unpack here that may give us clues for season 2. The first is Jynx's decision to sit in the chair marked Jynx, confirming her complete transformation from Powder to Jynx. There was another chair that said Powder, yet she chose to sit in this one like a throne. She has fully embraced the path ahead of her. The second thing is this giant full moon. Not only does it look badass, but it may also tie into the quick shot of Singed in his lab. Why? Werewolves. Here we can see this claw-like figure hanging from the ceiling, which if you compare it to the official artwork from Riot, appears to be Warwick. And there are several hints throughout the season that Warwick is Vander transformed. When Jynx hallucinates, we see this wolf-like drawing around his body. In episode 1, Vander is referred to as the Hound of the Underworld.
So you're Vander.
Hound of the Underground.
Plus, Warwick's official bio says the following: though many think of Warwick as no more than a beast, buried beneath the fury lies the mind of a man, a gangster who put down his blade and took up a new name to live a better life. But no matter how hard he tried to move on, he could never escape the sins of the past. I could definitely see this Vander Warwick plotline coming in season 2. Then there's this pocket watch Singed holds inside a picture of a girl. This could be Orianna, who once was a young girl, but after a tragic accident in the lower districts, her body was replaced piece by piece. Both characters seem to have the same bun hairstyle, and it would make sense that Singed has a picture of her in a pocket watch, considering Orianna is comprised of clockwork. Speaking of clocks and time, did you notice this device in the shot between Echo and Heimerdinger? Echo is a character known to manipulate time through his own invention, the Z-Drive. I wasn't sure if this was the beginnings of that invention or part of his flying skateboard, but regardless, his ability to turn back time may be one of several theories that saves Jayce, Mel, and Viktor from the rocket attack. But let's say that's not what happens. There are several juicy possibilities out there. I'm going to list them all here, and you can decide which ones you think make the most sense. One theory is that Medarda is a magic user. Prior to the attack, she takes off her ring, a ring which can be purchased as Riot merchandise, hinting that she's probably not going anywhere, and there are even rumors she may be an upcoming champion. Also, right before the attack, Mel experiences this sort of spider sense as the back of her gold dress glows. Now, this could simply be the reflection of the rocket, but it is nighttime. I'm kind of unsure on this one. Let me know what you think below. Then there's Jayce. We saw how Jayce was given one of these gemstones that allowed him and his mother to teleport when he was a child. That could be a possibility. There's also this shield he can create with his hammer. Let's also not forget about Viktor, who is also at this meeting. This is a guy who almost killed himself this episode. It isn't far-fetched to think he may sacrifice himself. He is, or at least was, dying after all. He's also known to carry Shimmer in his cane, and we know that Shimmer has healing properties. Time travel, magic, Shimmer, and Hextech are all possible theories as to where Season 2 might kick off, but I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. I friggin' loved Arcane, and if you did too, remember to like and subscribe so more people can see this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. For more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember, Daddy loves you very much.